So again, kind of continuing on that conversation, just to touch on a few of the statistics. So for Tampa, for example, you've got 2.6 months of inventory. The average home, it looks like, is selling in about 60 days. Average sale price, 233,975, and we had 2,894 home sales. And these again are the April statistics. The statistics usually trail about a month or so. So the GTAR puts them out usually about the 15th. So they've been out for a little more than a week or two now. But interestingly, April of last year there were 2,836 sales. This year there were 2,894. The last several years we've seen considerable increases in the number of homes sold year over year. The last 3 months we've actually seen in some months lower year over year home sales. This month it's slightly up. Average sale price this year of 233 versus 216 last year. So a nice 5 to 6% bump there, and then 2.6 months of inventory. And again, when we talk about the statistics and we say prices are rising but home sales are starting to flatten or not have as many, that doesn't mean that's happening in every single neighborhood. We'll have people that'll listen to the show and call us and say, "Oh, but Andrew, you said prices are rising everywhere," and that's not really the case. It's a big market. And it depends on what's going on in your specific neighborhood. So we'll put the statistics up on our Facebook fan page at facebook.com/the Duncan Duo Show, so you can look at them yourself and kind of compare how it relates to your neighborhood. But I think the moral of the story is we still have low inventory. We have home sales that are either reducing or flattening from a year ago. Prices are rising, and we have some inventory shortages. 2.6 months of inventory is just.
That's the name of the game right now.
Right.
Inventory being so low, it's not the sales going down is not for lack of trying. There's tons of buyers out there that are looking for the right home for them, but there's just not a whole lot, at least in our particular area and across the nation.
And Arnie talked about this a couple weeks ago. What you start to run into is when you have these bidding wars and the prices get pulled up. Can appraisal support it? You're running into a home goes for way above asking price, but if it's financed. Instead of cash, maybe it can't appraise that high, and we're starting to experience that. We had a sale, we had a listing that we sold for 50% above the asking price just a couple of weeks ago, and granted, fortunately, it was cash, but it was a hot market in South Tampa. It was a potential home for either a first-time home buyer or a builder. It was a big lot, so you had just a whole pool of people going after it. And you're valuing it from different perspectives, and it just kept getting bid up and bid up and bid up, and then when all was said and done, it was literally 50% above the price that we listed it at. And if it was cash, that's not going to appraise, or if it was financed, it's not going to appraise. Fortunately, it was cash; you didn't have to worry about it as much.
Right, and for that person, that price makes sense. But when you do have financing involved, you have to go by the rules that hey, this bank is giving you X amount of dollars, and they have to make sure that property meets the data, and the only way to do that is with appraisers and actual data, and that's the problem. Even though there was 6 other people who bid on that home, which happens all the time, if there hasn't been actual comparable data, you're going to have an issue with the appraisal. We've seen a ton of articles come out just in the last couple of weeks about that nationwide, how it's affecting financing in general.
Yeah, and it brings up a whole slew of other challenges. You get these bidding war scenarios, you get frustrated buyers. We had a buyer last week lose out on a bidding war and wanted to go just kill us on Facebook. And it's like, this wasn't even my customer, this is a customer of another agent. And they were upset that they didn't get the house. And it's like, there were 27 other people that didn't get the house either. Literally, you didn't get the best offer. It was a situation where, highest and best, send us your best. And then their email was that they would have paid more, and it's like, then you should have given us your best shot. So if you're a buyer out there, or if you're a seller, number one, if you're a seller, go with an agent that you feel like can navigate through those waters. An agent that, that's going to be patient in that process, because you don't want to take an offer too quick. If it's going to be a bidding war situation, you want to use it to your advantage. If you're thinking about buying a home, and you're working with an agent, and they're telling you that, hey, it could be a bidding war, they're not lying to you. They're not telling you something to get you to buy the home. They're telling you the truth. The truth is, there's a lot of bidding wars, and you may only get one shot at the house to make your best offer. Don't leave something on the table if you really would have paid more for the house. We deal with it all the time, where the customer gets mad and upset that they would have paid more. Well, then you should have offered more, because you know, in this market right now, with as low as inventory as we have, sometimes you only get one shot.
Well, and sometimes that comes around. You know, you're not going to get that maybe on the first home. You're going to play the field a little bit until you kind of realize that, yeah, what everyone is saying, what all the articles are saying is applicable here.
Well, you know, so let's recap a little bit. You know, so the statistics we talked about earlier, you know, the average sale price in Tampa is about $233,000. We saw just short of 2,900 home sales in the Tampa market for April. And comparing that, you know, when you Sarasota and Manatee breaks their statistics down a little bit differently. They break it down to distressed market. I'm not going to go into the distressed market statistics because, you know, there's so little of it today. You know, it's just drying up dramatically. But if you look at single family homes in Manatee County, you see again fewer home sales, higher prices. If you look at you know, the multifamily, so you get into townhomes and condos, you know, again, higher prices, but townhomes and condos in Manatee actually had slightly higher home sales in April of this year compared to last. Then you look at Sarasota County townhomes and condos, about 12% less sales today than a year ago, but you know, 10% higher prices. When you look at you know, single family homes in Sarasota County, again, same thing. About 5% fewer home sales, but you know, a good 10 to 12% higher prices. So we're seeing higher prices across the board, but fewer home sales. And you know I've talked about it before, but in my opinion, when you start to see fewer home sales, that's usually a sign of lack of inventory and potentially some softening of the market. You know, because buyers will get frustrated. They'll jump off the sidelines. They won't buy when they lose out on offer after offer. When there isn't enough inventory, then they go out and rent. And then, you know, the economic fundamentals of the market get hampered by losing, you know, buyers to that. So, but again, super competitive real estate market, not in every price range. I've already started to see and hear from friends across the country that they're seeing a weakening in the luxury market. So you get up above $1 million and the inventory is starting to balloon, starting to saturate. Homes are selling for lower prices off of asking. So you're already starting to see some of that happen in Tampa. It's not happening yet in Sarasota. The luxury market in Sarasota is still doing well. And we're still seeing some record sales. I saw an article this week about downtown St. Pete, some penthouse condos.
Some condos, yeah.
And some record sales. So it's not like, I'm not saying the market is dying. I'm saying that the statistics are turning a little bit where it's taking longer to sell. They're selling for slightly off of asking price. There's fewer of them selling. It doesn't mean none of them are selling. So we're going to be back. So if you missed this segment of the show, check out our social channels. We're on Facebook Live as well, talking about the local real estate market. We'll post up all the statistics on our social channels, and you know, continue to keep you updated. You can find us at facebook.com/The Duncan Duo Show, as well as on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube at The Duncan Duo. So we're going to continue this conversation with Sean Yesner from Yesner Law and David Diaz from Waterstone Mortgage after a quick break here on 970 WFLA.